The email notification arrived at 6:42 a.m. on a Monday. I was in Washington, D.C., 3 days into a 2-week consulting assignment with the Treasury Department, when my phone buzzed with an alert from my title company. Wire transfer request received for property at 2847 Ashland Avenue, Philadelphia. Amount, $890,000. Please confirm authorization within 24 hours to proceed with closing scheduled for Friday, April 12th. I sat up in my hotel bed and read it again. I'd never authorized a sale. I'd never listed the property. I'd never even considered selling. The Philadelphia brownstone had been my primary residence for 4 years, purchased with cash for $620,000, now worth approximately $1.1 million after renovations. I opened my email and found 17 messages from the past 72 hours that I'd missed while in classified briefings. A real estate attorney I'd never heard of. A title company. An inspection service. A mortgage broker requesting my financial information. And one from my brother Marcus sent to our family group chat. Great news, everyone. Finally convinced Karen to sell that overpriced Philly house. Closing Friday. She's making a smart financial move for once. Proud of my little sister. 43 responses. My mother, so glad you're finally being responsible with money. My aunt, about time you listened to Marcus. My father, good to see you taking his advice. I hadn't spoken to Marcus in 11 months, not since he'd asked to borrow $50,000 for a business investment, and I'd said no. Before that it was $30,000 for trading capital. Before that $25,000 for a sure thing in crypto. I'd learned years ago that Marcus's investments were gambling debts and his business opportunities were sports betting losses. I took screenshots of everything. I'd been taking screenshots of Marcus's behavior since I was 16, and he'd stolen my college savings to pay off a poker debt, then convinced our parents I'd spent it on clothes. Then I did what most people couldn't do. I opened my secure government communications portal and sent a message to my direct supervisor at Treasury. Personal emergency. Brother attempting to sell my house through identity fraud. May need to involve FBI. Will brief you within 2 hours. The response came back in 4 minutes. Documented. Use whatever resources you need. Keep me informed. Because here's what my family didn't know. I wasn't just a compliance consultant, making $75,000 a year like they believed. I was a forensic financial analyst for the Treasury Department's Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, with TS/SCI security clearance, earning $240,000 annually plus consulting fees. I investigated money laundering, identity theft, and financial fraud. And my brother had just committed textbook identity theft against a federal agent. I pulled up my property records. The Philadelphia house. Owned outright, 0 liens, 0 mortgages. My name alone on the deed. No authorization for sale ever given. Then I checked the supposed contract attached to the title company's email. My signature on the bottom, except it wasn't my signature. Close, but the capital K was wrong. Marcus had forged it. I took screenshots of those too. Revelation, the Sunday dinner. I didn't call Marcus. Not yet. Instead, I contacted my attorney, Daniel Reeves, from the hotel room. I need you to do something specific, I said, forwarding him all the emails. I need you to let this play out until Wednesday. I need documentation of every step. The closing preparation, the buyer interactions, any money that changes hands. Karen, he's forging your signature on sale documents. That's multiple felonies. We need to stop this immediately. We will stop it. But first I need Marcus to go far enough that there's no question about intent. Right now he could claim it was a misunderstanding. By Wednesday he'll have accepted deposits, scheduled movers, prepared closing documents. That's conspiracy, fraud, and forgery beyond any reasonable doubt. Daniel was quiet for a moment. You're building a federal case. I'm documenting facts. The federal case will build itself. Karen, you're a federal agent. You could handle this with a phone call. And he'd say it was a family misunderstanding, and I'd look vindictive, and my parents would spend the next decade telling me I overreacted. This way the evidence speaks for itself. I hung up and made another call, to my direct supervisor at FinCEN, Sarah Martinez. Sarah, I need to brief you on a personal situation that may require official involvement. I walked her through everything. Marcus's history, the forged documents, the fraudulent sale, the timeline. Jesus, Karen. Your own brother. My own brother who's stolen from me 4 times in 10 years. Small amounts I could never prove. This time he got ambitious. What do you need from us? I need you to make a call on Wednesday afternoon. Call the title company as a Treasury Department official doing routine verification on a property transaction. Ask them to confirm the seller's identity. Ask them if they've met me in person. Ask them if they've verified the signature against government ID. You want me to spook them into checking. I want the title company to discover the fraud through their own due diligence. That way it's not about me being vindictive. It's about them catching a crime. And then we let the FBI handle it. I'll recuse myself from any official investigation, but I'll provide them with every piece of evidence I've collected over the past decade. You've been documenting him for a decade? Since I was 16, Sarah. I've been waiting for him to go big enough that I could prove the pattern. Sunday evening I flew back to Philadelphia. Not to my house. Marcus might be watching, but to a hotel downtown. I needed to see this play out in person. Monday morning the buyers did a final walkthrough of my house. I wasn't there, but Daniel had arranged for a private investigator to document everything. The footage showed Marcus letting them in with a key I'd never given him, showing them rooms, discussing which furniture would stay. Karen's already moved to her new apartment, Marcus told them. She's excited to downsize, simplify her life. This place was always too much for her to handle. The wife examined my kitchen. These are beautiful renovations. Yeah, she put some money into it, but she's ready to move on. Fresh start, you know? What Marcus didn't know, I was watching the live feed from my hotel room. Tuesday afternoon, Marcus met with the buyer's attorney to review closing documents. The investigator recorded the conversation from an adjacent office. Just to confirm, the attorney said, your sister authorized you to handle this sale? Absolutely. She's traveling for work. She's a consultant, travels constantly. I'm her power of attorney for real estate transactions. Here's the documentation. He handed over papers. Forged papers. I watched him commit another felony in real time. The attorney reviewed them. These look in order. We'll see you Friday at 2 p.m. for closing. Perfect. Listen, I need to ask, can we move the funds to a different account? Karen's having some issues with her bank and she'd prefer if the proceeds went to this account instead. He slid a paper across the table. His account. Not mine. The attorney made a note. I'll need confirmation from her directly. She's in Singapore. Time difference makes it tough. But I have her written authorization. Another forged document. I watched Marcus smile as he shook the attorney's hand. Wednesday at 2:17 p.m., Sarah called the title company. Good afternoon, this is Sarah Martinez from the U.S. Department of Treasury Financial Crimes Enforcement Network. I'm conducting routine verification on a property transaction scheduled for Friday, 2847 Ashland Avenue, Philadelphia. Can you confirm you've met the seller in person and verified her identity against government-issued identification? The title agent's voice on the recording was uncertain. We've been working through her brother. He has power of attorney. I need you to verify the seller's identity directly. Have you met Karen Hendricks in person? Have you seen her driver's license or passport? No, but her brother provided. Ma'am, I'm going to need you to pause all proceedings on this transaction. I'm sending you verification protocols. Do not proceed with closing until you've confirmed the seller's identity through direct contact and government ID verification. This is a Treasury Department directive. Is there a problem with the transaction? I'm not at liberty to discuss details. Follow the protocols I'm sending. If you close this transaction without proper verification, your company may be liable for facilitating fraud. The line went dead. 30 minutes later my phone rang. The title company calling the number on my deed. Miss Hendricks? This is Janet Morris from Keystone Title. I need to verify that you've authorized the sale of your property at 2847 Ashland Avenue. I have not authorized any sale, Janet. I've never listed that property. I've never signed any documents. And I certainly never gave my brother power of attorney. Oh my God. Janet, I need you to preserve every document you've received. Don't destroy anything. The FBI will want to see all of it. The FBI? My brother has committed identity theft, forgery, and fraud. You're witnesses to it. Save everything. Procedural justice. The systems activate. Marcus found out Wednesday evening. The title company called him directly. Mr. Hendricks, we need to cancel Friday's closing. There are issues with verification. What issues? Everything's in order. We spoke with your sister. She says she never authorized this sale. The investigator's audio recording caught Marcus's response perfectly. A long silence then, that's impossible. We discussed this. She agreed. Mr. Hendricks, she says she's never spoken to you about selling the house. She says the signatures are forged. She's involving law enforcement. This is a misunderstanding. She's confused, she's been traveling. Sir, the Treasury Department called us today. They flagged this transaction. I'm required by law to report suspected fraud. I've already filed a report with the FBI. Marcus hung up. 10 minutes later my phone exploded with calls. Marcus, my mother, my father, my aunt. I didn't answer any of them. Instead I called the FBI field office in Philadelphia. This is Karen Hendricks. I need to report identity theft and real estate fraud. The suspect is my brother Marcus Hendricks. I'm a federal employee with FinCEN, but I'm reporting this as a private citizen and I'll recuse myself from any official involvement. The agent who took my call was professional and thorough. Ms. Hendricks, can you come in tomorrow morning? Bring all documentation. I have 10 years of documentation. It's going to take a while. Thursday morning I spent 4 hours at the FBI field office. I brought printed copies of everything. Marcus's history of theft, the forged signatures, the emails, the surveillance footage, the recordings, the wire transfer requests showing his account as the destination. The agent reviewing it, Special Agent Michael Torres, looked up from the documents after an hour. This is remarkably thorough. I'm a forensic financial analyst. Documentation is what I do. Your brother has no idea what he's dealing with. No, he doesn't. He thinks I'm a compliance consultant making $75,000 a year. He thinks I'm barely getting by. He has no idea I'm a federal agent who investigates exactly this type of crime. Why did you let him get this far? Because he's done this before, Agent Torres. Smaller thefts I couldn't prove. This time I wanted to make sure there was no question about intent, no room for him to claim misunderstanding. He forged documents, lied to attorneys, attempted to redirect my money to his account. That's not a mistake. That's calculated fraud. What about the buyers? They're innocent in this. They are. That's why I waited until before closing. They haven't lost any money except inspection fees and attorney costs. If I'd stopped it earlier, Marcus could claim he was just exploring options. Now there's a clear crime with clear evidence. Agent Torres nodded. We'll arrest him today. Marcus was arrested Thursday afternoon at our parents' house, where he'd been staying for the past 3 months. The charges were extensive. Identity theft under 18 U.S.C. 1028, wire fraud under 18 U.S.C. 1343, forgery, and conspiracy to commit fraud. Because he'd attempted to steal property worth over $890,000, the financial threshold triggered automatic federal prosecution. My parents called me that evening. My mother was crying. Karen, what have you done? Marcus is in jail. They're saying he might go to prison for years. Marcus did this to himself, Mom. He forged my signature, tried to sell my house, and attempted to steal almost $1 million. I didn't make him do any of that. It was a misunderstanding. He thought he was helping you. Helping me by stealing my house and putting the money in his account? That's an interesting definition of help. You've been lying to us, my father shouted. You're not a compliance consultant. The FBI agent said you work for Treasury. You're some kind of federal investigator. I'm a forensic financial analyst with FinCEN, Dad. I've been doing this work for 7 years. I never lied. I told you I worked in compliance and financial analysis. You assumed that meant something small and insignificant because that fit your narrative. Marcus is your brother. And he's stolen from me 4 times in 10 years. This time he committed multiple felonies. I didn't create this situation. I just made sure there was evidence when he finally went too far. My mother's voice cracked. You could have stopped it. You could have just told him no. I did tell him no, Mom. 11 months ago when he asked for $50,000. His response was to try to steal my entire house. That's not on me. They hung up. The ending. 5 months later. Marcus took a plea deal. His public defender explained that going to trial against a federal agent with 10 years of documented evidence would be suicide. He pleaded guilty to wire fraud and identity theft. The judge gave him 4 years in federal prison, 3 years supervised release, and ordered him to pay $127,000 in restitution, covering the buyer's losses, my legal fees, and the costs associated with cleaning up his fraud. My parents refinanced their house to pay part of it. Nobody apologized. My mother sends texts occasionally, "Hope you're proud of yourself," and "You destroyed this family." I don't respond. My father called once, 3 months after sentencing. "Your brother is in prison. His life is ruined. Was it worth it?" "Dad, Marcus tried to steal my house to pay gambling debts. He forged my signature multiple times. He lied to attorneys and buyers. He committed federal crimes. Yes, holding him accountable was worth it." "You used to be sweet, Karen." "No, Dad. I used to be quiet. There's a difference. I still live in the Philadelphia brownstone. Upgraded the security system, changed all the locks, installed cameras. Nobody gets near my property without documented authorization. The Treasury Department promoted me 6 weeks after Marcus's arrest. Senior forensic analyst, $285,000 salary, leading a team investigating international financial crimes. My family still thinks I'm vindictive, cruel, unforgiving. They don't understand that I'm not punishing Marcus for trying to steal my house. I'm holding him accountable for a decade of theft, manipulation, and lies. The house was just the crime big enough to prove the pattern. Sometimes I sit on my renovated porch and think about Marcus in prison, my parents in their refinanced house, my family's story about the cruel sister who sent her brother to jail over money. They'll never understand that it wasn't about money. It was about the 16-year-old girl whose brother stole her college savings and convinced everyone she'd wasted it. The 22-year-old who couldn't prove he'd forged her name on credit cards. The 28-year-old who watched him take while the family praised him for being charismatic and entrepreneurial. They wanted me to be the failure so Marcus could be the success. But Marcus was a gambler with a pattern of theft. And I was a federal agent with a pattern of documentation. He brought emotions and entitlement to a federal case. I brought evidence,